Should the Texas Longhorns be the number one team in the country as we hit 2025 into the 2025-2026 season? That's coming up on today's College Countdown as the AP Top 25 poll has been released. I am Josh Neighbors, the host here of the College Countdown 3 days a week on the Rogue Media /365 Sports Networks. You all can find us on Twitter. I'm @/X at CC Podcast JN, also at Josh Neighbors _ as well. You guys can also find me every single morning on 103.7 The Buzz on Morning Mayhem, hosting with David Basil, Roger Scott, and country music sensation Justin Moore, as we discuss all things life, love, pursuit of happiness, and football, as well as basketball of the Razorbacks variety. So excuse me if I drink a ton of water during this program. But yeah, so the one big thing as we get into today's show is Top 25 is here. And Jack Allen will be here tomorrow. Great first show with Jack last week. We'll have more of that stuff coming y'all's way. But the AP Top 25 is here. And to be honest, I actually didn't realize this until yesterday. I think when I was younger, I have this really vivid memory of when I was younger. We would always take vacations late in August. I remember one year we took a vacation to Banff, Canada as a family. And I remember being in Banff. We were there for like 2 weeks, I want to say. And so when we had first gotten there, I remember reading the newspaper because they had American newspapers at the hotel. And I remember seeing the coaches poll and being so excited and being so pumped to see it. And then I was, Dad, the coaches poll is out. He goes, that one doesn't really matter that much, Josh. I'm not sure why you're too excited about it. And I was like, it's the coaches poll. I'm freaking out. I was so pumped to just have a poll as a young college football fan. And then, the one thing that really always blew my mind was when the Associated Press poll came out. And the Associated Press poll is fun for our reactions and things like that. But Brett McMurphy had a really good tweet today about what actually happens with teams in the old poll, right? What actually happens to some of these teams. At least one team has started the season unranked, which finished in the top 10 in the last 29 of 31 years. And so he asked, which unranked team do you guys think will be to the top 10? It's an interesting question. We'll maybe toss that one around later at a different point in time, but just keep that in mind now. And also, along with that, the teams that have the most consecutive games against top 25 opponents, Oklahoma plays Texas and then South Carolina on the road, Ole Miss, and then at Tennessee and at Alabama. South Carolina, on the other hand, has at Ole Miss, OU at home, Alabama at home, at Ole Miss, and then at Texas A&M. So those two teams, now once again, these are just starting the year, right? Starting the year. And a big part of this, too, is that 10 SEC teams have made the top 25. But as you've gotten older, just the AP poll matters less and less, right? Just as a functional thing that we use. It's really just used, in my opinion, to prop up early season matchups. So we'll take a look at the poll here, and then we'll explore that idea that I just laid out there for you guys as I spill my water. What a disaster. So you all see right here, Texas at number 1, Penn State at number 2. Also, Ohio State is there at number 3. At number 4, it's Clemson. At number 5 is Georgia. So you have 3 teams. You got 2 teams out of the Big Ten, 2 SEC teams, then 1 ACC team. 6 Notre Dame, 7 is Oregon, 8 is Alabama, 10 is LSU, or number 9 is LSU rather. 10 is Miami. You can't see that on my screen, but 10 is Miami. Trust me. 11 is ASU. I'm not sure about that one. 12 is Illinois. 13 is South Carolina, rather. 14 is Michigan. 15 is Florida. 16 is SMU. 17 is Kansas State. 18 is Oklahoma. 19 is A&M. 20 is the Indiana Hoosiers. 21 Ole Miss. 22 with a nice crispy fresh logo on the AP Top 25 is Iowa State. Number 23 is Texas Tech. Number 24 is Tennessee. Number 25 is Boise State, followed by BYU, Utah, Baylor, Louisville, USC, Georgia Tech, Missouri, Tulane, Nebraska, UNLV, Toledo, Auburn, JMU, Memphis, Florida State, Duke, Liberty, Navy, Iowa, TCU, Pitt, Army, and Colorado. A couple more got some votes as well, but That's your snapshot of who is receiving votes, who is in the top 25. And once again, folks, I really do believe that this is just a tool that is used to prop up strong matchups, prop matchups up. Because if you go and you take a look at top 25 games in week 1 and into week 0, well, here's what you get. And look, I'm not saying the AP voters really care that much, but like you can kind of look at the schedule and choose your own adventure, if you will, if you're an AP voter. The first week of the season at 11 a.m. on August 23rd on ESPN at Aviva Stadium, Aer Lingus College Football Classic is between number 22 Iowa State, number 17 K-State. Now, I believe both those teams are very, very deserving of the ranking, but still, like, it's a top 25 game. The big one is Texas at number 1, Ohio State at number 3. And this is a question that we talked about on Friday's show when I was talking with Paul Catalina. It's a question I want to revisit again. I actually want to see what the answer is, if we can get an answer from Bill Connolly, who I'll call him. But these two teams are both ranked 100 and below. So they're in the bottom tier, bottom 30-some teams in returning production in college football, right? So you look at returning production 2025. This is last updated by Bill Connolly on May 22nd. The Texas Longhorns come into this at, let's see, I'm going to pull them up. So Texas is ranked 82nd in returning production nationally. Ohio State's 92. So not quite 100, but they're getting towards that back 20 of the top 100, right? So these teams are not returning a ton of their talent. And I'm curious to see where they line up and what effect that does. I'd like to know. And it's a little bit different for those teams, right? Because they are graduating guys. I mean, there are teams that have low returning production numbers, like your SMUs and Arizona States, that are accomplishing things, but you have to ask yourself, like, okay, how sustainable is it? These two teams are trying to build, Ohio State and Texas, trying to build some sustainability with what they do, with their plans, with their recruiting and whatnot. These are teams that use the portal to top off their roster, not to build their roster. That's a big thing to know here, too. Also, you look at other big games in this first week of the season. LSU number 9, Clemson number 4. I mean, LSU is coming off what we would consider a very, very disappointing season. We know about Clemson, what they're bringing back, what they bring. I think this is an accurately ranked game in terms of these two teams. Virginia Tech plays number 13, South Carolina at 2 o'clock on Sunday. And then on Sunday night, number 6, Notre Dame against number 10, Miami. I am skeptical of both of those teams. I am very skeptical about that game being a top 10 matchup. And the reason why I'm skeptical of that game being a top 10 matchup is these two teams have lost critical points of their team. I mean, obviously Riley Leonard moves on for Notre Dame, and also they got another offensive line injury that's going to hurt them a lot. How good are they at wide receiver has been a massive question for them in recent memory as well. And then also you factor in here too, Miami losing Cam Ward. That's not been a team that's been consistently doing a whole lot of damage, right? I mean, they've had one guy 1 year put up huge numbers and kind of carry the mantle for them and help them put up a really big season. But you've not had a consistently strong Miami group where both sides of the ball are showing a lot of promise and showing a lot of what you'd like to see. And so that's why on that front, I'm also skeptical as well. And I think this is another one of those where it kind of just looks fun to have Miami and Notre Dame as two top teams. I think people will enjoy seeing them as two top teams. I don't know if it necessarily means that these two schools are top teams. I'm skeptical about that. Furthermore, I want to break down Texas as the number 1. This is the first time in school history the Texas Longhorns have been the number 1 team in the season. When the season begins, they have never in their program's history been number 1 in the country at the start of the season. Also, if they were to win the championship, it would be the 13th team in the AP poll era to start off the year number 1 and win the championship. It's not a terrible sample set. I mean, it's sample size considering, hey man, we've had this since the 50s. So, 75 years. I mean, it is hard to prognosticate, right? I like to know how many number 2s have won, how many number 3s, so on and so forth, right? The AP voters are not idiots. They watch football, but I mean, there are some really curious AP polls you get all the time. Once again, this is just a fun preseason ranking. Guys, we've got a ton of players on Texas. I mean, once again, They are 82nd in the country in returning production. Okay, they're returning 40% of their offense and 62% of their defense. 40% of their offense is coming back. 51% of their team is returning, right? That's basically only half. And the guys who aren't coming back are all in the NFL. This is a really good program. Steve Sarkisian has this thing humming. I think that the number one ranking for Texas is a bigger indicator of how good of a job Sark has done as opposed to how good of a quarterback Arch Manning will be. I think Steve Sarkisian has built an absolute beast, particularly in the trenches. They've had some times where things have stalled them offensively in that area, but on the defensive line, they have been a hammer, and they've had guys who have been complete hammers, especially at those interior spots. They've had some aliens the last couple of years. Do we really think that's going to materially change for the Longhorns? No. The big question is, hey, what's the offense look like, right? How much better is a guy like a Ryan Wingo? They're losing some experience at wide receiver too. Last year, kind of the big criticism was they didn't have a ton of size out there on the outside. They had the dirt bike type wide receivers that we talk about all the time. So how much better as a team have they gotten? I don't know, but I do think with Sark's recruiting, with the way he's built his teams, they're definitely building towards winning a championship. Whether that's this year or in the future, I think that remains to be seen, obviously. But I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that Sark is building a championship team. I just don't know if it's this year's team. Like, I really do believe that I think Penn State should have been the number one team in the country. I think I would have put, and I'm not a Dabo Swinney guy, I would have put Clemson ahead of them as well. Hell, I might even put LSU ahead of Texas. I mean, at this point in time, knowing what they return and what they bring back. I think Arch Manning will be good at some point in time. I just don't know if that's this year. And I think because of but once again, I want to say this. I think this is because of what Sark's built. I think Sark's getting respect here in the poll, and you don't obviously know unless you talk to the voters, but I want to see it that way. I'm wondering what you all think as well. Leave your comments below in the comment section about why you think the Texas Longhorns are the number one team in the country. But to me, I want to say it's more respect towards Sark, and hey, also Arch Manning's the QB, so put him up there too. Not Arch Manning's the QB, Sark has done a good job also. So which one do you think's first here? Chicken, egg, or does it really matter? Or do you all see a clear difference? Item number 2, and we won't spend too long on this item right here. So the UFC just inked a 7-year, $7.7 billion deal with Paramount and CBS. It sounds like what were their pay-per-view events are now going to be going on linear streaming. The flip side of this is that WWE just signed, which is also part of TKO Group, same group that owns both, with ESPN. They're kind of flipping around. They're going to go back on ESPN Plus and go with some more premium events. 2 things here. Number 1, the fighter pay for the UFC is not tied to revenue. So while the UFC is seeing their dollars increase, their deal previously was around $500 million a year at ESPN. They've more than doubled that, it sounds like. The fighters will not see anymore. And the fighters for our college football, for our college sports, are the athletes, obviously. They need to make sure that they're well protected because I don't know. I have to go check the NCAA's recent settlement ruling and what's happening there. But I'd be interested to see, as revenues increase in relation to TV, what happens with the TV revenue dollars that go to players, and how do the players legally, I think eventually legally too, go after more money? Will they have to unionize? I mean, imagine you're a player and you watch schools go from, let's just say, a $4 billion television contract to an $8 billion television contract. But the number of games, number of events, number of games played does not increase. And so, they're paying more for the product that you are putting out there on the field as a player. How does that make you feel? How do you see that? What representation do you select to take that within the court, right? I think that's kind of where we're going. So that's one question I want to ask is, hey, inevitably as college football TV contracts keep going up, and eventually if we hit a kind of super league situation, what is the split on that? And also, Also, sorry, text about something else for. Do we think college football games go to a pay-per-view model? Could you see ESPN? Could you? And because here's the thing, they're going to sublet these games. I mean, we had playoff games on TNT and Max last year, which is obviously part of your cable package. But will there be exclusive games on ESPN Plus, on Paramount Plus? What do we think that looks like? The UFC is going to a model where, hey, their numbered events, which were always on pay-per-view, are now going to be on linear. Now they're going to be a part of CBS, which means Paramount Plus, which means, however else you watch CBS, but they're going to be a part of on linear cable. How much does college football, how much the powers that be in college football care about a pay-per-view model versus, if it makes them more money, or how much they care about that visibility, how much the sponsors care about visibility? Is there ever a way we could see college football in a pay-per-view setting? I don't think so, but I think it's an interesting idea to kick around. Let me know what you all think. All right, Jack Allen and I are back tomorrow. So Jack and I might post part of our radio show we're going to do. We're filling in for two guys tomorrow, 1 to 4 on 103.7 The Buzz, also on YouTube, as well as the 103.7 The Buzz app. So you can check that out. We'll probably take a piece of that show and put it up as our show, because 3 hours is a lot already on top of the 4-hour show that I'm producing in the morning. Jack's also a weekend sports anchor, so Jack will be working at the the TV station rather. So we'll see what happens there. But Jack Allen and I, you all know it's a fun time. Make sure you all follow us on Twitter at CC Podcast JN. Like the video, sub to the channel, leave us your comments, and we'll see you folks mañana.